Interface Video presents Fairfield Today. Brought to you by Fairfield Federal Savings and Loan, Fairfield Medical Center, Fairhope Hospice and Palliative Care, and the Fairfield County Board of Developmental Disabilities.
And welcome to Fairfield Today. I am your host, Temple Custer-Montanez, with the Fairfield County Board of Developmental Disabilities. And we are here today to talk about National Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month. Every year across the country, county boards and states celebrate National Developmental Disabilities Month, all month long, the month of March. And in Fairfield County, we are no exception. So I have with me today Mr. David Uhl, the Reverend Dr. David Uhl. David is our Director of Business Development at Fairfield County Board of DD, and he's going to join me today, and we're going to talk a little bit about where we are as a county board, 10 years in now to our celebration of possibilities, 50 years in as a county board. We got a lot to celebrate in March.
We sure do. Yeah, there's a lot going on, and you and I get the opportunity to work together throughout the month of March on a number of events. Some of them are smaller groups that we get out in front of that aren't necessarily public boards, committees, commissioners, city councils, things like that. But then, we obviously have our large public events as well, and it's a great opportunity to talk about and build awareness about people that we support, the things that Fairfield DD is doing in the community. And, over the last 10 years, a lot has changed. I think about, I've been around 6 or so years now, and in those 6 years, we've seen considerable change and transition in the Ohio system, and then, of course, that impacts us here locally as well. Everything from, who can provide service to what county boards are, can do and can't do. To considerable emphasis in the last several years on early intervention and on transition age students.
Yeah.
Yes, surely the Employment First initiative, which is a statewide initiative, and the emphasis on working to get people out of sheltered workshops and into their community to work, to play, to worship, to do what everyone else does, to be a part of their community. So there's a lot happening, and a lot has happened, and I think as we're going to continue to see that evolution over the next several years. But DD Awareness Month's a great opportunity to just kind of hit the pause button and celebrate all of the great things that have happened.
All the positives, absolutely, absolutely, and I think that's probably a great way to put it. Every cause out there has a month,
sure,
if you will, and so we are no exception, obviously, with developmental disabilities. But like you said, this is something that we take a little bit more seriously. We don't want to just talk about and educate people on what is a developmental disability and things of that nature, but let's talk about what it isn't. And the biggest thing I would say to that is that having a developmental disability no longer needs to be as limiting as it used to be. As you've said, we have people in employment now, full-time engaged employment. Celebrating one gentleman this year at Celebration of Possibilities who's been employed for 25 years. Yep. That's impressive.
Yeah,
in any day and age,
sure,
but that's impressive. And these programs that we have now with our youth, with Project Search and employment navigation programs, community connections, being able to sit down with an individual and his or her support team and say, what do you want to do? You want to go fishing? You want to learn how to knit? Do you want to join a church choir? We can help you navigate that process. We can give you the connections in the community to make that happen. And then what I think is probably the most beautiful part of that is that these organic friendships and relationships form. And more we, as a community, as Fairfield County, we're really embracing those individuals with developmental disabilities, and it's no longer just Fairfield DD supporting individuals, it's the whole community, and that's ultimately our goal.
Yeah, I think, you mentioned something that was really important, that was another major jump forward for us. When we look back 50 years when county boards started and people were institutionalized and kids weren't allowed to go to schools, and, parents really started to advocate for their children and started to advocate for, either something to be created for them or access to public schools, and then you look at where we were with that, and people literally in institutions, to the evolution of then group homes, and then evolution to more individualized living spaces, but also then sheltered workshops.
Sheltered workshops, absolutely.
And then now the move from a segregated environment every day like that to where the goal really is to help people find their place in the community. And the other thing you mentioned was, what do you want to do? What do you want to be? What are your skills and abilities? And that was a big jump, I think, especially here in Ohio for county boards 5, 7, 8 years ago when we really started talking about person-centered planning and this idea of, before we only talked about what was important for you, what health and safety, right?
And what we thought was best for you.
And now
or
we
what
really
your parents thought was best for you.
And now the discussion is what's important for and what's important to you.
To you.
And that's a really important component of person-centered planning. And so when we are putting together a support for someone today, it's all about a collaborative experience where people are involved in saying, this is, these are some things we need to do, but what are some things that you want to do? What are, where would you like to work? Where would you like to volunteer? How would you like to be involved and engaged in the community? And that's relatively recent. I mean, it wasn't always like that.
Yeah.
But now it is, and that's a huge, huge jump forward. And so that leads us to the idea that if we serve 1,200 people, we really have to find 1,200 solutions as we're working to support those people. And that certainly is a challenge, but it's also a great opportunity for us to really ensure that people are using their personal genius and finding their place in the community.
Right. Well, one thing that I think really deserves celebrating this year, as we get into our, like we said, this is our 10th Celebration of Possibilities, which, for those who aren't familiar, is an event that we host every year where we highlight people in the community who are epitomizing our mission statement, which is to bring about a vibrant community where people lead fulfilling lives and make meaningful contributions. But this year's really unique, David, in that we have a lot of young people that we are recognizing this year who have dove right in, that are not only assisting or helping or befriending their peers with developmental disabilities, but they've really formed friendships organically. And I want to talk about that a little bit today, because I got to tell you a beautiful story. Yesterday I was at the local high school, and I walked in. I was there to speak with a group of students, and as I walked in, I noticed that the MH classroom, the multiple disabilities classroom, is right inside the door. And I recognized 2 or 3 students there who we have supported for many years. And when in my day, which was a long time ago, and longer than your day, those same students were tucked away in the side of a school building, and you really didn't interact with them. You didn't really know them. You didn't have any opportunity to engage with them. Well, when I walked into the high school yesterday, not only were those students not tucked away in the corner, the classroom was front and center, and those students were walking up and down the hall, and it was such an awesome feeling to see other students go up and giving them high fives and watching these students walk down the hall. And I thought, they're rock stars. People really know who they are. They have friends. They are no longer in a segregated setting. They are part of their school community. And if nothing else, if that's not something to celebrate after 50 years as a county board and 10 years of hosting the Celebration of Possibilities dinner, I don't know what is.
Yeah, it really is cool. And this year, as you mentioned, we have the great opportunity to be a part of the committee that selects the award winners. And as we do that, when the awards came through this year, the nominees, there really was a theme. And so, the Pickerington North and Pickerington Central Key Clubbers, and then the Fairfield Christian Academy football team, both award winners this year for the work that they've done and the things that they've done to help us move our mission forward. And so this celebration, not only is it unique in that it's our 10th anniversary, and I love the celebration. I was a supporter of the celebration before I even worked here. This is my 6th or 7th one, even though I haven't worked here that long, because I attended before I was on staff.
It's a fun event. We should say real quickly, let me interrupt you, that this 10th anniversary Celebration of Possibilities is March 15th this year.
Yep.
We've moved it up 2 weeks. It will take place at the Crossroads Center on Fair Avenue.
Tickets are $30. Get them quick because
Yeah,
the
quickly.
list
We don't have
is
that many
filled.
left.
Well, not only that, but because we're honoring these students.
Yeah,
you know who comes along with students, right?
Right, parents,
That's
yeah,
right. And
right.
so space is going to be extremely limited this year. So I would call right now or email. You can get with any of us or get with Gaynor in the office, and we can get your tickets reserved.
652-7220 is the number to call for tickets.
That's right. Yeah, ask for Gaynor, and she'll get you set up. But the reality is, when we look at these students, it was this 10th one. So we've got some really cool things, right? We're going to be amazed. That's the theme. So the normal great things that happen during the celebration will continue to happen. However, the cool thing this year too is that this is our opportunity to really begin to impact that younger generation.
Absolutely.
As we bring those students in who are already just, I think, hopefully somewhat naturally, having an impact and understanding what we're trying to do. And
we don't have as big of a job when it comes to our young people.
Yeah,
they're
and that's
steps
a cool
ahead of
thing.
where we were
Yeah.
at their age.
And I'll tell you, one of the most, as we think about the previous award winners, and all of them are certainly, worthy of the award that they received. But I remember one of the most powerful ones for me was when this group of kids, a couple years ago, a group of kids won. And when they were up there talking about the impact that the students they were working with had on them.
Right.
Not the other way around.
Right.
That's an unbelievable thing. And so it's going to be a fantastic event. Yeah, so I would get your tickets. I would get them soon. Again, $30, and March 15th is the date. Typically we've called this the capstone to DD Awareness Month because it's always happened on the last Thursday of March. But with Holy Week and spring break, things
sort of
that
at the
are
mercy of the calendar this year.
Yeah, we had to bump up to March 15th, and so we have another event that's going to kind of round out the month right before Holy Week.
Yeah, that's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, and do we take breaks here?
Yeah,
We
we'll
just keep
take a
on
quick
trucking?
break, and when we come back, we'll tell you about some of the other events that are happening this year for National Developmental Disabilities Month here in Fairfield County. In the meantime, I'm Temple Montanez, David Ohl from Fairfield DD. And welcome back to Fairfield Today. I am your host, Temple Custer Montanez, with the Fairfield County Board of Developmental Disabilities, down at Art and Clay on Main today as we talk about National Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month, which we are celebrating locally in Fairfield County with Fairfield DD throughout the month of March. It's something that we look forward to every year, but this year is really special to us. We're really talking a lot about where have we been in the last 50 years and where are we now and where do we see ourselves going. Huge focus this year on Lancaster and Fairfield County youth, as far north as Pickerington. We're seeing a lot of youth in Fairfield County that are participating not only in volunteering their time to people with developmental disabilities, but it's grown more than that. And so I'm talking with David Ohl today with us. David is the Director of Business Development and Government Relations at Fairfield DD.
That's it. Wherever.
And we're talking a little bit about the impact that the youth has in our community when it comes to engaging, embracing, and ultimately just flat out accepting their peers with developmental disabilities and what that will mean in the future.
Yeah, it's really important, and hopefully as, a lot of work has been done over the last few years in the school districts. A number of presentations, there was in the past couple of years a spread the word, end the word campaigns in some of the schools talking about the R word and removing that from kids' vocabulary. It's really an important thing, and there's been a lot of emphasis on that. And then this year, I think your campaign to disable the label, which is hitting thousands of students across our school districts in the county, is just another way. And I think it's a natural thing as they're seeing this and hearing this, that the stigma is going to continue to be reduced until eventually it just goes away. I was reviewing some of the past celebration entertainers who came. And one of them said that she couldn't wait until the day when she was able to write disability on a piece of paper and crumble it up and throw it away. Yeah. That the label was gone and that it had no impact, force, effect, meaning anymore. And I think that that's possible. And I think that as we continue to work with students and as students are somewhat just naturally different than previous generations. And
more accepting.
that's possible. It's going to happen. And it's a great opportunity for us to, as you said, during the celebration and as we're honoring those who have helped us move our mission forward. The number of kids that we're honoring this year is really a cool thing.
Yeah. So we're talking about the Celebration of Possibilities, which is our annual recognition event. It takes place every March. This year it's taking place on March 15th at the Crossroad Event Center here in Lancaster. And it's really an opportunity for us, as David said, to give a shout out to people that are epitomizing our mission statement and doing great things in the community to no longer just pave the way for people with developmental disabilities, but to help them advance in their life. These are people that we support. A lot of people don't realize that Fairfield DD supports currently around 1,200 individuals and their families throughout Fairfield County. And we're happy to say that number is not necessarily growing, and yet it's not diminishing as well. So that remains fairly constant. But this event doesn't necessarily award or highlight the accomplishments of people with developmental disabilities as much as it does people in the community that are our business partners, that are peers, our school systems, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, and it's a great thing that we get to do this every year, and that again the Crossroads Center sells out, and so many people want to come and see what people are doing. It's a great way for us as we're working with businesses, people, community leaders that can come to the celebration, and maybe we've talked to them, but until you see it, until you see what someone says about how a person that we support, that maybe they're working with, has impacted them or changed them, or the way they provide just such stellar customer service in any one of these instances, it really is a powerful thing when you hear those stories and see the impact that people are having. It's a lot less about even Fairfield DD and a lot more about the people who are partnering with us to really move things forward.
Right. But it's not going to end this year with the Celebration of Possibilities, because, as we said, DD Awareness Month does last the entire duration of the month of March. And so this year we are capping off the month with a really fun community event that's completely free. So please mark your calendars, because we're going to be celebrating right here.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm a fan of what's been called one of the best girl bands in Central Ohio.
I'm sure
the Salty
you are,
Caramels.
David.
Yes.
And they're easy on the eyes.
Yeah, they are easy on the eyes. My buddy Aaron, who's back behind the cameras there, is the one who introduced me to the Salty Caramels a couple years ago, and we've had them back here several times. And
and just to clarify, so the Salty Caramels is a band,
right?
All female band, obviously. If you didn't pick up on that from David's very coy introduction, but sort of a rockabilly type folksy song. There's guitar, there's fiddle.
Sometimes they play the saw.
Sometimes the saw.
Yeah.
And they will be helping us celebrate National DD Awareness Month in Fairfield County on March 23rd at Art and Clay on Main and Square 7 Coffee House. They will begin, I believe, at 7 p.m.
Yeah, that's right.
10.
Yeah, so there are a couple things that are happening that night, and one, the Salty Caramels will be here, and they always pack the house out. They're a ton of fun. They just released in the last couple of months a new album, so we're really excited to have them back here in Lancaster. The other part of that evening, though, kind of begins with a gallery opening, a show opening for our artists in residence here at Art and Clay.
I've seen some of the previews of the work, and it's fantastic.
So from several of our artists in residence, I believe they're going to have a piece or two featured on in our gallery, and so I believe that starts at 6. And it's always a great time to come in and meet the artists. So that's a really cool thing that you get to do. So if you're interested in buying artwork, right, you're not just buying the artwork, but you're having an opportunity to interact with the artist, see what their passion is, maybe what drove them to create that particular art.
Right.
And then that artwork is obviously always for sale. And then at 7, the Salty Caramels will start, and they'll go, like you said, until 10. And it's completely free. And for us, this is really sort of the wrap up for DD Awareness Month, because the next week's Holy Week, and I don't think we're planning to do much.
And spring break.
And spring break, right, is getting started. And so, but, to be able to end on such a cool note, on such a positive note, to have the Salty Caramels come in and to be able to feature our artists here in the Artists in Residence opportunity is really, really a cool thing. So we're excited to do that.
Right.
Free
and
event.
we should say, too, that the Artists in Residence program sort of blossomed out of what used to be the Blue Shoe Art program, which a lot of people are familiar with. The Artists in Residence program is a juried 1-year-long art program that is open to people with and without disabilities. We really don't care. We don't even really need to know if you have a disability or if you do not. Where they congregate at Art and Clay. They do have an artistic mentor amongst them, but they do an artist statement, and they spend a whole year working on a body of work. And you really get that community, that artist community advantage when you're an artist in residence, as well as use of these fantastic facilities here at Art and Clay on Main. And what a unique opportunity to be able to have all the artists present in one evening, showing a sample, a little sampling of each of their works, and then those works will be for sale. And then, of course, like you said, capping off the evening with a band like the Salty Caramels is really cool. But I also think what's really cool is, to have an event like this, cap off National DD Awareness Month, is unique, because our mission statement is to bring about a vibrant community where people lead fulfilling lives and make meaningful contributions. Nowhere in there do we mention the word disability. We are really more about weaving together the fabric of our community, and with people with and without disabilities. We don't need anybody to be our inspiration. We don't need to go that route. We simply want our community to come together. And the people that we serve in Fairfield County that have developmental disabilities, it is imperative to us that they be members of the community and be in their community at the same time. So I think that's really unique, that there aren't a lot of county boards, I don't think, that have events that really don't focus on a disability.
Yeah, and I was with our superintendent, John, a week or two ago when he was presenting to a group, and he said something, and when with this particular group, it really resonated, and it's really a part of what we're trying to do here, right? So we're supporting people with disabilities, and we're real careful about how we say that. We are providing a support. They're the ones that are doing the things, right? And we support them however they need as they go about that. But we're all over the place. Mm-hmm. We're in some 60 or 70 different businesses when we talk about people who are employed in the community, mm-hmm. right? Fairfield DD itself we're here. We're at the mall. We're at Fairfield Medical Center. We're all over. But mm-hmm. the idea is that we fade back into the background, that we disappear, John said, into mm-hmm. the community, and that's really the thing, that we're here, that we're in the background, which is interesting to think about, because most organizations, agencies, groups, they want to be
more
in the
apparent,
foreground,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But no, that we want to be in the background. We want to support people however they need supported, so that they can find success, so that they can live a fulfilling life and make a meaningful contribution.
I even liken it to like when you're teaching your child how to ride a bike.
Yeah.
That child's successful when you're not holding on to the back of the bike anymore.
That's right.
And we hope that that's where we've come.
That's pretty cool.
And we'll have even more to celebrate in the years to come.
That's right.
But anyway, if you're just tuning in, we'd love to have you celebrate National Developmental Disability Awareness Month with us this year in Fairfield County throughout the month of March. Our Celebration of Possibilities, our 10th annual Celebration of Possibilities, will take place on March 15th at Crossroad Event Center on West Fair Avenue here in town. If you don't make it to that, please come on out and join us on March 23rd at Art and Clay on Main and Square 7 Coffee House as we present an art opening called Meet the Artist, or Meet Us at the Studio, where you can meet the 2018 artists in residence, as well as enjoying some coffee, maybe paint a little pottery, and take in the fantastic sounds of the band, the Salty Caramels, which will be beginning at 7 p.m. that evening. David, thank you, as always, for sitting down with me. And, sometimes in any job, I think it's always nice to be able to sit down with a coworker and really reflect on why it is that we do what we do, and to have the opportunity to share that with people in our community is invaluable to me. So thank you for being here.
Thank you.
In the meantime, I am your host, Temple Custer Montanez, with the Fairfield County Board of Developmental Disabilities. Happy National Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month. We'll see you next time.
Interface Video presents Fairfield Today. Brought to you by Fairfield Federal Savings and Loan, Fairfield Medical Center, Fairhope Hospice and Palliative Care, and the Fairfield County Board of Developmental Disabilities.